Hi everyone, we're gonna get started with the community meeting here. So you guys can either come up, hopefully the audio's good, there's tables, and I see you guys brought your chairs, so we're gonna get started. We do have quite the lineup for you. I wanted to cover a couple things here. You guys are very familiar with this park. Those of you that are not, there are bathrooms over there in the brown buildings, accessible to you guys throughout the meeting. I wanted to thank you guys for joining us here for the Alaska team's first community meeting out here in Oakridge. And we're very happy that you guys have come here, and we are very happy to be able to give you information. My name is Emery Johnson, and I'm the Public Information Officer for the Alaska Team 3 that is working out here on the Willamette for this Willamette Complex on the southern area. We have quite a lineup for you, like we said, that includes experts and fire managers. And what we're going to do is start with their comments and work through. We're going to have our opening from our incident commander, followed by our incident meteorologist to cover weather, fire behavior analyst, air resource advisor to cover smoke, and we're going to get a field operations update for you guys, followed by yours truly, Oakridge Mayor, and we're going to have agency representatives from the Forest Service here. At the end, we will be doing a more informal question and answer, and we will go ahead and incorporate down with you guys to be able to brief to the boards. So we will kick this off with our incident commander, Peter.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Peter Batteri here, Incident Commander for Alaska Team 3. This is not the first time our team has been down in this neck of the woods fighting fire. We all know that you all, though, are no strangers to fire as well here, and that over the past several years, you've certainly had your fill. Last year was Bedrock. Year before, I was here during Cedar Creek. 2021, you guys had the Middle Fork Complex. Back in 2020, Holiday Farm to the north. And here we are again on the Willamette Complex fire. More smoky air, forest closures, potential evacuations, tourists finding other places to recreate. We understand you guys are tired of this, and I think you'd like it to end. But this is difficult country. You know that. The forest staff, the Willamette crew that's working with us, and all the local timber resources that we've got attached to the team here, they're all telling us the same thing. It takes time to put these fire lines in so that they're going to hold over the long run. Even though we're in a good place right now, and we have all the crews and equipment we think we need, and even though we might get some rain to help us out here in a bit, it's only the middle of August, and there's still a lot of fire season ahead. We want to do this right and make sure the work we're doing now will pass the test of hot, dry, and windy later in the season. We built a camp down by the dam to house the crews we need, and for the team that comes behind us, we're making steady progress on these fires. We're going to stick to the task for the rest of our tour here. We hope you'll be patient with us and with the team that comes behind us a week down the road here. For now, we're going to do everything we can to minimize the damage these fires are causing. In the meantime, we want to hear from you, and that's why we're here today. We're going to have a short presentation here, but what I'm really looking forward to is the conversation after. I want to hear what you all concerned about and what your ideas are. So thanks for that, and I'll pass it to Emery again.
Okay, next we're going to hear from our incident meteorologist.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Wooks. I'm the incident meteorologist assigned to the complex here on the south side. Now, usually when I'm up here and I'm giving a presentation on the weather, for fire weather, it really boils down to how hot, how dry, and how windy is it. But today it's going to be a little bit different because we've got a bit of a special event that is intervening and kind of stealing some of the attention as a safety concern for our firefighters, but also to the communities as a whole. And I really wanted to speak to that first. And so tomorrow looks to start really nice. Probably a lot of sun, should warm up through the day, a lot like today, really. But expecting that probably after 2 p.m., we'll start to see clouds towering, building. We'll start to see showers and eventually thunderstorms form. And that warming through the day is going to help build that fuel for some of these storms to become strong, maybe even severe. So experience this afternoon, this evening, most people see some showers, maybe some rumbles of thunder, probably not too dissimilar than you experience many, many times a year. But embedded within that will be more intense storm cells. Some of them will be capable of producing outflow wind gusts, 35, 40 miles per hour, maybe some pea-sized hail. The very strongest storms of the day, and while there won't be many, they will be impactful. They'll be capable of producing hail that's up to a quarter in diameter and outflow wind gusts up around 60 miles per hour. So definitely a threat to anyone who isn't in some sturdy shelter. Definitely describes our firefighters, and I know tomorrow is a weekend. It's going to start out real nice. Everyone's going to want to get out, enjoy the day as best they can. And so it could apply to you as well. So really just kind of wanted to highlight that after 2 p.m. we'll start to see that threat for showers and thunderstorms increase. And right now, kind of looking at that prime time for the strongest storms in the area to be roughly from after 3 p.m. until about 9 p.m. At that point, they'll have moved on far enough north that they'll be impacting other parts of the west side of the Cascades farther north. Now, after that, have some... Actually, before I move on, one other thing. Not only is there a severe weather threat, there is a potential heavy rain threat with this as well. So those stronger storms, those strongest storms will be able to also produce on top of hail, winds, lots of lightning. We are at near record levels of moisture in the atmosphere right now for this area at this time of year. So they're going to be able to produce briefly heavy, intense rain with that as well. We're looking at the strongest storms being able to produce half an inch to an inch of rain per hour. That's a rate that, if it falls on vulnerable locations, could pose flooding problems. And they're the locations that happen a lot around here, and especially in our fire areas. Things like unpaved roads, steep slopes, and this is even a rain rate that is high enough that we would start to consider the potential for debris flows. Now, that's just a weather threshold. There is a weather and a land component to that, which our fire behavior analysts will be able to speak to more. But that's just to give you an idea of the type of heavy rain that we might be expecting in the strongest few cells of these storms. Now, beyond that, after about 2 a.m., we'll start to see that threat wane. May see some lingering showers, but they'll be light into Sunday morning. And then we'll kind of get into a new pattern for much of next week. It will be pretty familiar. It will feel a lot like what we've seen this past week. It will be pretty seasonable, a little on the cool side of average for this time of year. We'll see relative humidities that are roughly around 50% at their lowest in the afternoons, which is well above any sort of critical thresholds that we'd be considering from a fire weather standpoint. And we'll be looking at winds that, while generally out of the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour, will be modified by the complex terrain we have around here. And really, that's going to be what defines a lot of the week to come once we get through these rain and storms. I'll be hanging around to answer any weather questions you might have, but for now, I will pass it on.
Great. I'm Kent Slaughter. I'm the fire behavior analyst for the team, and I'll talk briefly about fire behavior, but there are two parts of fire behavior forecasting. There's what I do, which is daily forecasting for the incident, for the people on the incident. And then we also have long-term analysts who really pull in long-term weather events and look at 2-week long, 3-week long potential fire activity across the landscape. So I'll focus on the short term, but we also do these longer term forecasts, and I work with those folks a lot to help validate what they're seeing, what their models are showing. Right now, in terms of how the weather that we're experiencing now is impacting the fire behavior, the higher relative humidity that we've had for the last week or more has helped to really moderate the fire activity. Most of what's burning on most of these fires is the really old, the dead material under the really old stands. So the reproduction stands where they've been cut in anywhere up to the last 100 years are really not burning very well. It's the old stands with the really heavy, big dead and down material. The smaller part of that, the stuff that's 3 inches or less, the humidity has helped raise its internal moisture. It comes into equilibrium. And so those are not burning very well. What we've had the last few days are 1 to 2 foot flame lengths in a lot of cases, a lot of smoldering. That's what we'll probably continue to see for the next week or more. There might be a little uptick in activity if humidity starts falling below 50% on a consistent basis. But beyond that, it's much more moderate conditions, both in terms of the weather and in terms of the fire behavior than everyone experienced around here 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. In terms of how the typical patterns around here influence things, Peter mentioned some of the large events you've had in the past, and I certainly am very aware of the large wind event that impacted all of Western Oregon several years ago. And those are very rare events. If they do occur, the meteorologists have a lot of warning that they pass out well in advance so that we can start making the right predictions, working with the forests, working with the county, and all the responsible parties to ensure we're responding well and that we're predicting what the fires will do, where they'll go. Really, my job is to ensure the safety of the firefighters by helping the operations people and everyone understand what they're seeing out there and what they can expect to see. And so I'll be around afterwards to explain a little bit more. I'm really happy to explain what I do and how I do it to anybody who's curious.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I am Carolyn Corey. I am the Air Resource Advisor for all of the fires on the Willamette. And I am responsible for producing a smoke outlook every morning, as soon as I can, hopefully by 8 a.m., that gives communities that are impacted by fires an idea of what the smoke is going to look like for the day. So first of all, I kind of wanted to talk to you about how I produce the smoke outlook. So what goes into that? First, when you first get to a fire, there is a fire, the person who arrives there first, the first Air Resource Advisor, they will look at what communities they are. They draw a big box around that fire and say, we think the smoke is going to impact these areas. And then we start gathering data. So we have a lot of sensors out there. We have a lot of monitors. Some are permanent monitors, some are temporary monitors. If we have an area that doesn't have a monitor, we get a monitor. There's the more inexpensive purple air monitor. Hello? Another person might have put Sean that you just talked to. Whatever Sean had predicted for today, we look at that data and then we talk to the fire behavior analyst and what does he think the smoke is going to do. We put all of that into our forecast that we put together first thing in the morning. Then we put that out to the public and then we spend another part of our day going out and seeing was I even close? You know, like, we hope we're close, but you don't know. Sometimes you have to ground truth it because the models aren't perfect. It takes people's eyes and their noses and all of that to kind of gather their own data to say, I think what the model said isn't quite right, so then we'll tweak it the next day. So Oakridge, of course, and I'm so sorry you guys have this smoke all the time, but Oakridge is one of our areas that we're forecasting for every morning. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the smoke outlook and how to use it. So we put out this particular outlook every morning, and it comes out in paper. I think it's posted on all of your boards that are across all the communities on the Willamette right now, but it's also online, and it immediately goes, the minute I post it, it's online, it's on the web. And the website is actually pretty slick. They're updating it all the time. So you'll go to fire.airnow.gov, or you could Google fire and smoke map. That's how I remember it, because I can't remember the long words. So I go, fire and smoke map. Pops up the whole United States. You'll see a bunch of pretty colors. Hopefully they're green, but then unfortunately in your area, you see some colors that are yellow and orange and red. And that means the green is good, usually green. And then you have yellow is moderate. We have orange color that's unhealthy for sensitive groups. We have unhealthy is red. Purple is very unhealthy, and then a really, not a very pretty color. Purple is hazardous. So the United States pops up. You zoom into your area on the map, and if we're doing a forecast anywhere in the country, if there's a forecast, there's going to be a gray box. You click on the gray box, and it immediately pops you into this forecast. And once you get in that forecast, for all of the little dots here, this is where we're forecasting for. If there'll be a tab right under that, and it'll have, you click on that tab for that particular town, and it pops out more data. So then we're forecasting for today, we're forecasting for tomorrow, and we're doing more of an extended forecast if we think we can do that. We also put in there times of day. So the time of day, we look at trend data, so we can go back 7 days easily. If we need to go back further, we can. And we start looking at the trend data, so that helps us pick a time of day. So say, for example, you wanted to take grandma out for Sunday breakfast, and it's really, we're forecasting unhealthy. Someone might go get grandma a burrito and bring it to her so that she doesn't have to go out for breakfast. Or if you want to take your daily jog at 3 p.m. and you're looking, and we say in the afternoon, oh, that looks like the smoke is going to clear out, then that might be a good time. Or say if you're going to have soccer practice for the local high school team. So we try to put some timing in there too. So for Oakridge, right now with the forecast we have, we forecasted moderate today. And I think for what we've been noticing, and this is the trend that I'm talking about, it looks like every day about 9 o'clock your smoke's rolling in, and about 3 p.m., 4 p.m. it's starting to roll out. So we look at that. But I just wanted to give you some ideas of what the forecast is and what it's capable of. There's a lot of information on fire.airnow.gov, or fire and smoke map. And if you have other questions about any of that, I'm here. You're welcome to come see me after the meeting. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jimmer Hunt. I'm the Fire Management Officer here for the Middle Fork Ranger District. I'm also assisting the team here with operations on the fire. So I'm going to go through kind of a walkthrough of the map, where the situation currently is, and what the fire strategy and tactics are for each of the incidents. A couple features on this map, and as you guys look at the map on the boards around you, you'll see some of the fire perimeter is identified with black line. Those are areas of containment. And so when we're talking about containment, these are areas that we're very confident our holding features are in place and that we can keep the fire in that area. So when we talk about containment, those are kind of rock solid areas that we're really confident in. When we talk about control lines, those are areas that we have lines around the fire, but we haven't moved them into the containment status. We're still actively working those. So we'll start up north on the Chalk fire. This was the number one priority fire from basically inception when we transitioned the first team in due to the proximity to Oakridge. And so if you look at the kind of southern portion as it gets onto Huckleberry Flats, this was kind of the piece we wanted to lock in, right? It presented the greatest threat to the community from the fire progressing south. And you can see that we're starting to get some good black line around that entire portion. So They continue to mop this up. They continue to patrol it. They're expanding kind of the depth that they're getting in there. And then they're removing any hazards that are associated or any fuels that we left on the ground that we need to pull out of there. So this kind of southeast portion's looking really good. As you proceed to the west, kind of the northwest, you'll see we don't have black line, but this fire is inside of all of our control features, and those control features are direct, so they're right on the fire's edge. So we continue to mop these areas up. You'll notice kind of a block of no red area. That's unburnt fuel in the center of the fire. We don't view it as a major threat right now, but as conditions change on the landscape, it could become more active, which is part of the reason why we don't show this as black around the entire incident, because we're not as confident that our containment features are as robust as they need to be in that area to move it to there. Additionally, on the chalk fire and as on other fires, we'll talk about contingency lines. So in addition to the primary control feature right on black edge, we focused effort on building additional control lines adjacent to it in favorable locations, so that if the fire does move, if it becomes active, we have a major weather event, and in particular, planning around east winds events, which are prevalent here, as we all know, later in the September timeframe. We're constructing these containment features, and they're getting in place with a focus on kind of this southwest portion. To the north, we have the Gales fire scar, so we're still working in that area as well, but less of a threat for it to actively spread north. So we're really focusing on locking in the southern portion of this fire and giving ourselves a couple options in there should the fire become active and want to move. Moving down to our second priority, coffee pot. Again, you'll see the west edge locking in this and moving back to the east has been the priority. Similar to chalk, the coffee pot has control features on the black edge around the entirety of the fire. Similar to chalk, we're only showing containment on the portions that we feel really confident with our mop-up and depth don't present an immediate threat to break those containment lines. So a lot of the same work, mopping up on these edges, continuing to work the kind of the open flame or open fire perimeter here where we have our control features, but we need to continue to get depth to show containment, and then establishing contingency lines to the east and to the south to really make sure we have multiple options to lock that fire in. Because of the progress we've had over the last few weeks from the Rocky Mountain team to this Alaska team, we've been able to really start focusing more effort on the Moss Mountain fire, which was our lowest priority fire just based on proximities and values, but has been kind of our main focus for operations since the team got here. So while you don't see black containment line on the edge of the Moss fire, it's in extremely difficult terrain, steep, rugged, cliffy areas. What you do see is line adjacent, where we're building control features that we feel confident as the fire moves and as it progresses. If it does, we're going to have some good opportunities to grab that fire and put it into the control features. Likewise, we continue to look for opportunities to tighten that box. So we start with the areas we think we're going to have the greatest success based on the landscape, usually roads, ridges, natural fuel breaks, right? We prep those, knowing that those have a high probability of us being successful. Once we have those established, we can look at opportunities to go internal with more direct options where available, or if the fire moves to a location on the landscape that's more favorable for us inside of those. So I'm sure there'll be some questions afterwards, and I'll be around to answer those.
Thanks, Jimmer. Good evening. Brian Cutchin, Oakridge Mayor. The first thing I'd like to do is, I know they've been here a few days in their deployment, but I'd like to offer a welcome to Alaska Team 3. They've done a great job. They executed a seamless transition with Rocky Mountain Team 1, and they've continued to build on that success. And I think you can see it. There's a lot more black line between Oakridge and the fires, and that's attributable directly to this team here. So I am indebted to you for that. So we talked a little bit about public engagement and the information that's available, and I encourage you to go to their Facebook page, or if you're not internet inclined, go to the information billboards they diligently update every single morning. All the information you find on the web is primarily on those boards as well. So I encourage you to go there. We're in a much better position than we were July 18th when these fires kicked off. But I encourage you, the citizens, to battle complacency. I know it can be like Groundhog Day over and over again. But what I'd like you to do is remember, there's parts of High Prairie that are still in a level one evacuation, so you need to keep that in mind. And you've heard it before, but during fire season, we all should be in level one in Oakridge, considering the history that you heard already about fires for the past few years. So it makes you go through that planning process on what do you really need to take if you got to bug out. And I think it's important to go through that ahead of time instead of when you're stressed and when a level one does show up. So we talked a little about air quality. I'd encourage you, we have local resources if you want more information on tips what to do to make your home cleaner. There are some resources available, actual filters, and that's all available at Oakridge Air, Sarah Ultimus Pope and her team, and they're right over there at the OIP in their office building. So I encourage you to swing by and talk to those folks. As well, I'd like to encourage you to keep your homes fire-wise, keep your yards fire-wise, which means don't let your grass grow too tall, particularly if you have a large lot. Keep it trimmed, and Sarah and her team can also talk to you about the FireWise program and how it works and what you need to do to safe your home. In addition, I believe there's also resources out there if you cannot afford to FireWise your home. I believe there are resources that Sarah can direct you towards to get your home FireWise free of charge if you qualify. So to Alaska Team 3, I hope that the businesses have been supportive, and I'm thankful to the Oakridge businesses that have ramped up and supported the firefighters that are here. I know their places are a lot busier than they normally are, so hopefully they've done a good job with that. But for the team, we are grateful you're here, and please let us know if there's anything the city of Oakridge can do to support you better in this effort. Our city administrator is James Clevenger. Raise your hand, James. He's the guy to go to if you actually need something. I'm just a talking head here. But in any case, thank you again to Team 3.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Cameron Mitchell. I'm the acting district ranger here on the Middle Fork Ranger District. First, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for showing up. Those of you that are here with us at Greenwaters Park, and those of you online, just kind of viewing the video, appreciate you coming forward and gaining information that the team is providing, and it helps us stay connected. It helps us all stay aware of what's happening, and so I want to just say thank you for paying attention and being present. One second here, I got to align my notes. So I just kind of wanted to start off with kind of my perspective on the current situation and where we're at. The last time I was with you folks in a public meeting, we were kind of really still in a touch and go type situation. I think we had some lightning on the forecast, and we were still ramping things up with Rocky Mountain Team 1. And we're now a few weeks later, and we, you know what, we've actually had some really fortunate series of events, all things considering. The first thing is we've been really fortunate in the teams we've been getting assigned to our fires here. Rocky Mountain Team 1 really knocked it out of the park, assuming the incidents, transitioning from initial attack into extended attack, and kind of getting a game plan set up. And Alaska Team 3 has done an amazing job taking that plan, improving it, and charging forward and making a lot of progress in their short time here. So I just that is not an accident. That is skilled leadership, skilled coordination, and skilled folks on the ground getting really important and good work done. So we've been really fortunate with that. We've also been really fortunate with the weather. Temperatures have been relatively mild. Humidities have stayed pretty high, and so we've actually been able to make a lot of progress. You see black going on that map, and that's in part because the the environment has helped us make a lot of progress without having to fight a whole lot of additional fire. So we've been making really good progress with that. The team has been exploiting that in a really strong way and getting things done. So kind of what I'm seeing is with that black going on the map, we still have a long bit of fire season ahead, but the way I see it is we're poised well to take on the rest of that fire season and kind of take things on as they come. And that was not necessarily the case this whole time through. So that's thanks to the teams and all the people out there working really hard. The other thing that I wanted to point out is both teams have done a fantastic job in incorporating our local personnel into the firefighting effort, not just in getting work done, but taking in that local knowledge of fire behavior, the weather we expect to come in, topography. They know the landscape, they know the places, and the teams have done a really excellent job of incorporating that information and carrying that forward and working collaboratively with us and with the community as well. And so that's leading to a lot of success as well, and we'll keep that moving forward. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there with the teams. They're just doing a fantastic job. The other part of it is I want to point out we've gotten a few questions about where's the team gone. When these fires started off, we were very visible in town. The school district and the city were really gracious to let us occupy the high school there. But it's getting towards the school year, and we needed to make room for the students to go back to school. And so they asked us kindly to get the heck out of there. So we're making some space for the high school students. And what we've done is we've set up a command post and a camp at Hills Creek, where we generally do. We have seen no less commitment from the team, no less presence. In fact, it's ramped up. We have more resources available to us now than we did when ICP was in town. And so there's absolutely no lack of presence here, and they've continued to really work with us strongly, and they're still here in this community to help us. So never fear, the help is still here. So I think I'm going to leave it there for this evening. The last piece is, we are all here to support each other, the community and the team and the Ranger District and the Willamette National Forest, and we're here now as well. So if you have questions, if you need some information, or you just want to chat with us, we'll be hanging out here for a while. Please do come chat with us, and we'll get you whatever you need information-wise. So thanks again for coming.
We just want to say again, thank you for the community for being so gracious, so understanding, and so patient. And it was a lot of information, so I hope that you clarify some questions with our subject matter experts that'll be out here with you guys. And then we just want to recognize our agency partners, representatives, cooperators that are all helping us, like we have alluded to. And so with that, we will wrap up our formal part of the meeting, and then we will go ahead and be answering questions with you guys, and we can reference some of the boards down there. So thank you so much.